Okay, I'm so glad you came. Welcome to the Carla B Show. We're going to upload another episode today, or I should say right now, or after I record this message. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, please. I do try to post content that is relative to my life coaching. I do offer that as a private service. It's individualized and it's customized for each client of mine. And what I've taken advantage of here on YouTube is just posting some of those helpful action plans or strategies to deal with, you know, psychological life things that help reshape your mindset to help you in your life. And it's free because YouTube is free. You don't have to pay anything. I often question, yes, we should put a value on things, but monetary exchange doesn't always guarantee authentic good value for yourself or for the person. So you got to be mindful of that. Whoever's offering a service, their service level shouldn't be 100% tied to the money that comes from that. So anyway, just wanted to say that. But today I wanted to talk about something that has been ruminating in my mind and also in my heart. Um, I've been on a journey to develop myself spiritually and to understand, all of these new age concepts, self-development concepts, basically things that I use in life coaching to help people. And additionally, in coming in contact with so many different individuals, I also get to learn a lot about people's spiritual backgrounds, practices, things like that. What I have to say is that recently there is a big increase and emphasis on mental health as a topic, which is great. And with mental health as a topic comes the concept of emotional intelligence, which, is also the next book that I'm writing to help people basically strengthen it, develop it, like what sectors to um, strengthen in situations where they're struggling with, certain things like anger or resentment, guilt, all of the feelings that are super negative within you. Emotional intelligence is something you can use to help you get out of it. You don't necessarily get rid of the problem or the people that have even caused it, but you can definitely learn how to navigate through the feelings and use that energy of those feelings for positive. But there's something that I've noticed when it comes to emotional intelligence nowadays, and that is the use of emotional intelligence factors to determine if an individual is appropriate or not for a relationship with you, or even for you to have kind of like a list of factors to look for in another person. Don't get me wrong, it's great to look for character traits in an individual, like integrity. Do they have integrity? Are they excited about life? Um, are they generous? Are they considerate? Are they compassionate? These are important. However, you have to be mindful that new age stuff, like in culture, they will always try to use these concepts, these factors in a way to keep you isolated and to keep you from actually making a choice. In other words, if you don't make a choice to have a bond or relationship with people, whether it's new friends, or even romantic involvement, you're going to be alone. You're going to be secluded from others. You're going to feel alone, and it's going to propagate that feeling of just having no one, which is really what culture wants people to believe, that you have no one, so that they can manipulate you and use you for whatever it is they want to use you for. And you would be like, well, why does that happen? Because people are easier to maneuver and manipulate in isolation, in moments of loneliness where they're emotionally starved. How do I know this? Because I've been there. I've lived through those spaces, so I could definitely tell you that that's very possible. So why am I posting this message? Like, what's the point? The point is to make you aware that when you are getting to know someone, whether you are male or female, either you make the choice to get to know them or you don't. You don't sit there and be questioning them. And this came up to me, especially when I was watching this show, like Pop the Balloon, which is great for entertainment, but ridiculous as a choosing to date someone situation, because I find that every moment a person found a reason that it would be a great opportunity to try to get to know somebody, they would often add on questions almost as if they're looking for a reason to not date somebody. Point in question. If I'm looking to date someone, to get to know someone, to at least give it a shot, why would I be asking questions that intrinsically have a negative answer? Like they have a negative answer. Like, for instance, do you have kids? I think either way that can go can be negative because the person being asked doesn't know, okay, if I say yes, is that going to be good? But what if they have kids and me saying yes is a negative for them? Or if I say no, or I mean, if I say yes, I do have kids, or no, I don't have, like whatever option the other person answers, the other person's still left thinking, wait, is it good that I have kids? Or is it good that I don't have kids? Like what? Like it's almost like a double-edged sworded question. Or like the other thing is when they ask, like, oh, what would your past boyfriend or girlfriend say about you? Who the heck cares? Honestly, who you are today is not who you were yesterday. Like you are renewed every day. You evolve. You're a different person. You learn from your relationships as well. Okay. Another thing that people will often ask as a way to kind of, justify why they don't take a leap, because really choosing to get to know someone and having them as a part of your life is taking a leap. Yes, but I promise you, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be like horrible. I mean, and people will say, well, you have to have the conversation to get to know them. Getting to know someone doesn't happen in a conversation in a first date, not even a second or third. This is why people need to understand that there's roles and levels to dating. You don't just start having time together and automatically you're in a relationship. That's not how it goes. Pace yourself, go slowly, but definitely don't use this new age concept of, oh, emotional intelligence. I'm looking for someone who knows how to regulate their behavior, regulate their emotions. Honestly, like I was watching this moment in and yeah, it was Pop the Balloon, where the person asked, like, how good are you at regulating your emotions? And it's like, these are questions people can lie about. Like, you can't know the answer to that until you're in it with them. You're going to need to have the moment with them. That's like asking somebody, what is the roller coaster ride, I don't know, in Epcot feel like? The person can describe it to you 101 ways. Until you're actually in the roller coaster ride, you don't know if that's how you're going to feel. It might actually not do anything for you. You feel like you're just, in a speed car, not even a roller coaster. But for that person, it's the most exhilarating thing ever. So when someone describes a scenario to you of like, oh, don't be with a person who can't regulate their emotions, 90% of the population can't regulate their emotions. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. Okay, that doesn't mean something wrong with you if you have a problem regulating your emotions. You have to have moments where you let them out. So it's like letting out steam. So to ask someone that question is almost like either the person's going to lie to you, or whatever answer they give, you're just going to use it as a reason to say, no, it's not a good fit. It's not a good match. And I have found in my journey of like just being exposed to the dating scene, I have definitely found that people do that, because even with myself, I've actually had, people interested in me um, come to come to a date with a list, and it got to the point now where I'm just like completely closed off. I have decided to be authentic with myself and admit, who I really love, and keep it at that, you know. Um, because it does get to a point that when you're a secure person, you don't you don't have a void that needs to be filled when you're secure. And when you don't have a void to be filled when you're secure, you're not going to be interested in just whoever another individual is. You're actually going to be interested in somebody because of their essence, because of who they are within themselves, who they are with their children, who they are with their family, who they are with other people in your life. You're going to pay attention to that more than just how they make you feel in the moment and how they look physically. Also, that's not going to really matter to you. It can be a component, but it's not going to be a big deal anymore. And so you actually get to understand that loving someone for their essence is way more beautiful than looking at your list of factors that should and shouldn't be there. It's also very ego-centered, you know? So I guess I wanted to post this clip or video. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'd like to come on here and really upload content that is authentic and genuine, not scripted. So what I want to say to you is just, if you're in the single scene, or even if you are with someone married or in a relationship that is committed, please appreciate their essence. Please take some time to look at the qualities they have that you are in love with, you know? And let's stop thinking about falling in love. We shouldn't be falling in love, because everything that falls breaks. So that's another thing that culture has wrong. You don't fall in love, you walk in love. And to walk in love is a choice. You choose to walk in love with another person. That means you choose to be in love with them. You choose to love them, even if it's for the idiosyncrasies that are annoying, that they can find themselves as annoying. You actually find them as endearing. You have this feeling of gratitude that they exist in your life. You know why? Because tomorrow something can happen and it may not ever be there in your life again. And trust me, a void cannot be filled if it exists within you. It has to be something you work through and you heal and you get secure. Another person's never going to be able to satisfy that. So if you're living in a relationship trying to make another person satisfy something inside of you, that is the complete wrong direction to come in from. You need to come in from a direction of, I'm going to choose to walk in love with this person. Why? Because of these characteristics they have, not because of what you want them to have. These characteristics they have. Well, then you will say, well, yeah, well, then I want them to be emotionally regulated. True, but what if that's something you could work together? Because how do you know you're able to regulate your emotions? I mean, there are people that I've coached that still come back to me, and it's been like 8 years or 7 years, 6 years since I've seen them, and they'll come back to me for tips for like one appointment, because they'll go to therapy and they don't get the download that they need to help them. They just get another session that needs them to go to another session and keep being back on their payroll. Whereas a life coach is slightly different. We actually give you a strategy that works. The goal is not to keep you as a permanent patient or client, but more as like a temporary, seasonal. That's the goal. Well, at least for me it is. And if you come back later, great. It shouldn't really require a bunch of sessions, because this is what happens in the mental health industry. We start to then make people feel like they need a lot of work to get better. You don't. Being a better person requires very small steps. And yes, being a better person does mean you don't use mental health, emotional intelligence factors on your list of items of yes or no to try a relationship. What if you're sent to that person's life to help them finally, I don't know, awaken to their emotional intelligence? Or, everyone has it, but maybe you're sent to awaken them to a new level. That's another thing that I want to talk about. People want so much what they want that they're actually not realizing what their purpose is. You're rejecting your purpose every time you are just looking at what benefits you. I'll say it again. Every time you are looking at what benefits you, you are rejecting your purpose, because your purpose is something that stems from the service you're supposed to provide, what you're supposed to serve, like what's around you with. Based on that, if you don't want to like serve another person for whatever reason, you are in part rejecting your purpose. And that is why we have what's called now so many people in what's called the single epidemic. I don't think it's an epidemic. I think it's just a bunch of people rejecting their purpose, like refusing to fulfill their purpose. I mean, I'll be flat out honest, women in the workforce are great. We can do amazing things. I've been a teacher for 21 years. I work with children. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I will say this, from what I've seen, what I experienced, and who I've coached, women have a way harder time managing and handling life in roles that are really meant to be for men. Provider, caretaker, really hard time. Does society make it possible? Does culture and society make it seem like it's possible and doable? Of course they do. They want to keep you in that loop, because keeping you in that loop guarantees the fact that that's another set of people in an echelon that, again, are isolated. That's really why. The purpose of culture is not to create and to nurture families. Even though they may say that it's important to them, they use that to kind of tug at your heartstrings. But the purpose of culture is really to divide and separate families, especially the culture here in this part of the world, in this nation. Because if that wasn't the case, then why would we have the single epidemic? Why would we have so many things on our list of what we want from a partner? Your partner cannot fulfill the 101 requirements you have to be happy. You need to fulfill a lot of those yourself. Your partner should be there for companionship, emotional security in terms of romantic emotional security, and your supporter in terms of what is best for you as a person, and that's it. Your partner cannot be your best friend and your workout buddy and your I don't know, your Netflix buddy. It cannot be your person for everything. It's not even meant healthy. It's too codependent. And anywhere where there's codependency, even if you think it's working great, it's going to cause a problem at some point, because everything in our life is not meant to stay there forever. So you at least want to have enough of a design in your life where if something is not there, you can still manage and cope with it in a healthy way. And also, it's not fair to anyone's partner to feel like they have to be everything. Because again, like, you're aiming for perfection, and perfection is quite impossible because it is coming from your ego. Perfection comes from the ego. It does not come from your spirit. So anything that comes from the ego is going to be impossible. It may seem doable, but that doesn't mean it's possible. What's doable doesn't mean it is possible. And in the New Age culture, they talk about manifesting. You can manifest this, you can manifest that. That is all BS. That is all BS. You are basically enslaving yourself to a mindset that is putting you in the forefront as a god in your life. And that is not how it works. And that is why those people in the New Age practices are constantly having to have several days off of work, or they can't handle life, or they have to have retreats, or they have to be sage, they have to have crystals around them, they have to have these amulets, these trinkets, these whatever. Like, it's crazy. It doesn't work. And now you can ask yourself, well, what does all of this have to do with emotional intelligence factors being used for relationships? Because people will resort to that when the other things aren't working and then wonder why it doesn't work also. It's because none of that really matters. You need to make a decision. Human beings that are adults have a difficult time deciding yes or no. They like to stay in gray areas. Oh, we'll see what happens. We'll go with the flow. No, because when you're on a plane to skydive, you either are going to jump out with a parachute and actually do the skydiving, or you're going to stay in the plane and land with the pilot. There's no gray area where you're just hovering next to the plane, feeling what skydiving is like, about 10, 15%, while still in the plane. Like, that's impossible. Life is like that, and people don't want to live life like that, because what do they want to do? They want to reject their purpose. They want to rebel against decision making. And how do they rebel? By creating these mental infrastructures of like, well, if I'm going to date someone, I need to ask them these 10 questions. If the answer to these 10 questions are not what I want, or if I just don't like the way that their shoes look, and then they answer the question that they don't have kids, that they have kids, well, then that's it. It's not a good match. Like, this is how people think, because people come to me with this. And I'm like, are you serious? So what about the content of the person? What about their integrity, their compassion, their consideration, their generosity, their involvement in church, how they're a part of a children's group, and they mentor kids over on the weekend on their spare time. They might or have some kind of way to keep up with their physical health. Their home life is stable. They have an okay job. They're financially okay by themselves. What about that? Like, how come that's not enough? Or then the other thing that just gets to me is, like, again, with this new age about manifesting your wealth, manifesting your abundance. You'll ask a person what they do, and they give you a list of 20 jobs, like 20 things they do. for a living. I'm a content creator, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm a teacher, I'm also a podcaster. Pun to myself, right? I'm a podcaster. Oh, and I'm also a motivational speaker. I'm also oh, I also do real estate, and I buy and sell cryptocurrency. And they literally list a ton of I was gonna say a ton of shit. They list a ton of things that don't matter, especially the women. Like, I think women need to just understand men do not care that you have 20 jobs. The real man that you are looking for does not want you to even have a job, if that's the case. And if you have a job, they want it to be a job that is morally decent, morally acceptable, morally, when I say morally, I mean like they can present it to their family and be proud of that. That is the truth. I've coached people at a private level where they tell me their secrets. So I could tell you, I've had men tell me this. They've stayed with the relationship with the woman because, yes, it makes them look good in a physical sense. But when it comes to family, they were not proud to have to talk about what that person did. As a matter of fact, they made their partner lie, which is horrible for the partner. And the partner stayed. Obviously, she stayed. She stayed. Why? Because she wanted to be in the relationship with him, and there's feelings there. But it would take one of the two choosing a different path, most likely the woman. And people will say, well, why does she have to choose a different path? Again, men hold the keys to relationship. Women hold the keys to a physical intimacy. That's just how it is. It's been like that since the caveman era. And now we want to use emotional intelligence as a reason why we don't accept a relationship with someone or we don't get to know someone. That's ridiculous. You know why it's ridiculous? And this is coming from a life coach, because there will always be something at the emotional intelligence level that you can find wrong with the person and use it against them, even if they are a millionaire. And people will say, no, that's not true. I'm sorry, honey. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I don't care what attachment style you have, because that doesn't matter. Even that doesn't play a factor. Because if you love a person and you're making a choice because you've committed to yourself to make that choice, there is nothing on the other end that can go wrong if that person is right for you. The only thing that can make that person wrong for you is basically yourself and your choice to just constantly keep looking at new age ideas of what you should and shouldn't have in a relationship. What do you want? What do you need? What do you feel your spirit speaking to you? I promise you there's somebody in your past that you've already had a connection with that now you're like, damn, that was a really good connection. It was worth it. You know how I know? Not only have I had clients that have gone through that, I myself have gone through that. But it gets to a point that we try to shut that off and we try to move on, right? The concept of moving on. It's not really true or helpful if moving on means you have to lie to yourself and pretend that you don't love someone you love. Living pretending like you don't love someone you love is the worst. So I invite you to do the following. If you are in the single scene, or even if you're in a relationship, look at who you've got or look at who you don't got. If you have somebody, jot down some reasons why you love them, not why you hate them, why you love them. And if you don't have someone, write down some things that you love in other people. Yeah, sounds crazy. Other people. Write down some things you love in other people, even if that's 3 things. Those should be the things that you look for in the partner you want. Maybe it's time you start erasing the 101 questions or 101 check boxes you have for your partner or possible partner. And you start to simplify it so that you can actually unify yourself with somebody else or others. You didn't come here to be alone. None of us did. We didn't come here to be alone. Sometimes being alone may be the only option or maybe what you choose. Okay, fine. But this message is for people who are wondering why it's not working. Well, maybe it's because you're too picky. Yeah, I said it. Maybe you're too picky. We need to stop being picky and we need to start being appreciative. Because I promise you, out of 10 people that you've met, 2 of them were people you should have appreciated, you could have had a good connection with, and you probably could have had a great relationship or can still with one of those 2, or you would pick, obviously. Because we meet so many people, we encounter people, and we make the choice to either dive into it or not. But what we like to do is we like to stay just at the puddle. We like to stay at the puddle, and we like to look for reasons why we can't go further. And if they don't do this, I won't do that. Again, you shouldn't be matching energy. If you're vibing high, you should be high regardless. That's another thing that when it comes to male and female dynamics, men will test you, and with good reason, because if they hold the keys to commitment, or to relationship, they're not going to dive in if you are pretending to be one way today and tomorrow you're different. Especially, I'm talking to the women that are looking for men that are, caretakers, providers. They're not going to be okay with that. And if you want a man to snap into that mode, you have to be a woman that kind of thinks this way. I hate to tell you, but there's no other way to tell you. I have not experienced anything different or anything else. And I'm not just talking from my personal experience. I'm talking from experience as a life coach. The men at the echelons of caretaker and provider that just are there to give you whatever, they definitely want to know that your high vibe is consistent. It's really who you are. It's not a fake. And for most women out there, unfortunately, they fake it in order to get the guy. So that's why guys are afraid. That's why they're afraid. I don't blame them. I would be afraid too. Okay? But how can you switch that? What can you do? Well, be genuine and authentic within yourself, in your own existence. Find the high vibing level by yourself. You're not going to find it by having another relationship that's a failure and a heartbreak. You're going to find it in moments of solitude. It may take that. So I hope you enjoy this message. I hope something came from it. I have to stop recording because I'm about to get a class. Yeah, I love you for watching. Please click like, share, subscribe, and comment on this video, or DM me, carla.barandas on Instagram. I get a lot of DMs there asking me for uploads, so I feel bad. I haven't really uploaded a lot of content because I like it to be genuine and not scripted. And honestly, I've also been going through some things myself, trying to understand how to word a message, because I do not have this written anywhere. I don't have a teleprompter. I'm recording right off the camera on my computer. So you're getting the real stuff. Anyway, I love you for watching, and thank you so much for being a part of my channel.